There's a strange truth about trading that few ever understand until it's too late. It's not your strategy that saves you. It's not the setup, the entry, or even the perfect technical confirmation you waited all morning for. It's the part of you that doesn't move when everything inside you wants to. Every trader thinks they're looking for the best system, the most accurate signal, the secret formula that will unlock consistent profits. But the real secret is this. The market rewards discipline far more than it rewards brilliance. You can survive with an average system if you are consistent, but you will destroy yourself with the best system if you are impulsive. I learned that the hard way. In my early years, I had a mind full of ideas and a heart full of greed. I believed every new strategy was the holy grail. I jumped from method to method, chasing every flash of success I saw in another trader. But every time the market turned against me, I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't losing because of my strategy. I was losing because of me. Discipline is the silent weapon of the successful trader. It doesn't shout. It doesn't excite. It doesn't make your heart race the way a big win does. But it's the only thing that separates the temporary winners from the ones who last. You see, strategy can be learned in a week. You can read a book, watch a video, or study a chart and pick up the mechanics. But discipline that's forged in the fire, that's earned one loss at a time, one hesitation, one moment of temptation where you choose not to act. Every time you resist the urge to break your rules, you grow stronger. Every time you give in, you weaken the part of yourself that can survive this business. Trading doesn't require perfection. It requires control. Control over greed, over fear, over the whisper in your head that says, just this once. Because just this once is how the downfall begins, and the market has a way of exposing the undisciplined. It waits, it tempts, it offers just enough reward to make you think you've mastered it, and then it takes everything back in one swift, merciless move. Discipline, for me, was never about being robotic. It was about being principled. There's a difference. A robot follows orders. A disciplined trader follows truths. The truth that no one knows the next move. The truth that survival matters more than excitement. The truth that your ego is your biggest open position, and it must be closed before you trade again. If you've been struggling in your journey, if you've been jumping between systems, hoping that the next strategy will finally click, ask yourself this. Have you given your current one enough time to prove you right? Or are you sabotaging it before it even has a chance to work? Many traders don't realize they're not testing strategies. They're testing their own patience. And most fail the test not because the system is weak, but because they are. That's why I often tell traders, stop searching for a better system. Start building a better self. Because once you have discipline, you can make almost any strategy work. But without it, even the best strategy will crumble in your hands. And I'd like you to take a moment right now, genuinely, and tell us what you struggle with most in your trading journey. Is it holding your trades? Is it waiting for your setup? Is it managing your emotions after a loss? Your answer might just be the key to your next breakthrough. And it also helps us understand how to serve you better with these lessons. Because what we share here isn't theory. It's experience, the kind that cost years, fortunes, and mistakes to learn. If it resonates with you, then make sure you like this video, share it with another trader who needs to hear it, and let us know in the comments what part of this message speaks to you most. That simple act helps this message reach others who might be standing at the same crossroad you are right now. Now, let me tell you something that will sound almost cruel, but it's the truth. Every trader eventually meets face to face. The market doesn't reward effort. It rewards execution. You can study for years, analyze perfectly, and still lose simply because you didn't have the discipline to wait for your edge. Or worse, you didn't have the discipline to stay out when the odds weren't in your favor. I used to believe my problem was that I needed more information, more data, more indicators, more insight. But the more I added to my charts, the less clarity I had. I wasn't simplifying. I was hiding from responsibility. Because as long as I could blame the lack of data, I didn't have to admit the real issue, that I wasn't disciplined enough to trust my plan. Eventually, I stripped everything down. I removed all the noise. No more chasing, no more reacting. Just one principle. Trade only when my setup appears. and stay silent otherwise. And that silence became my greatest weapon, because that's where discipline truly lives, in the quiet moments between trades. The discipline not to force a move, the discipline not to seek excitement, the discipline to understand that sometimes doing nothing is the most profitable move you can make. You want to know the most powerful moment in a trader's life? It's when they finally stop fighting the market and start mastering themselves. That's when everything changes. That's when the noise fades and you finally begin to see. If you've seen my other talks, especially the 3 hidden stages before every trader becomes profitable, you'll remember this truth. Every stage of growth begins with surrender. Surrendering control, surrendering ego, surrendering the illusion that we can force success. And that same surrender is the foundation of discipline. When you stop trying to control outcomes, you start controlling your reactions. That's the shift that separates the dreamers from the professionals. Most traders never get there because they can't handle boredom. The idea of waiting feels unbearable. They crave constant stimulation, but markets reward those who can wait without needing. And if you can learn to sit on your hands while the impatient trade themselves into exhaustion, that's when you begin to rise above. You see, I've always believed that markets don't test your knowledge, they test your temperament. Every tick, every candle, every reversal is asking you the same question. Can you stay in control when everything else is out of your control? That's the real exam of a trader's life. And most fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they can't do what they know. The distance between knowledge and action is the graveyard of most trading accounts. I used to watch men on the trading floor, sharp minds, clever systems, confident voices, lose everything in a single afternoon. Not because they lacked insight, but because they lacked discipline when pressure arrived. They could follow the plan when things went their way. But when the market whispered a different tune, they abandoned everything they stood for. That's why I tell traders, discipline isn't built on success. It's built on pain. You must be tested. You must be broken once or twice to understand the value of self-control. The man who has not yet faced ruin does not truly know discipline. He only knows the comfort of rules that haven't yet been challenged. And that's why so many traders never progress. They think discipline means following their plan when it's easy, but real discipline is doing it when it feels impossible, when your hands are shaking, when your equity is bleeding, when your emotions scream at you to act and you choose not to. Every trader reaches that moment, the point where the market exposes who you really are. Not who you pretend to be, not who you wish to become, but who you are when the money's on the line. That's the moment I learned discipline is not something you practice. It's something you become. You cannot fake it. The market will always know. And so, I began to treat my discipline like capital, to guard it, protect it, and compound it. Because discipline earns interest just like money does. Every time you respect your rules, you strengthen the muscle that keeps you alive. Every time you break them, you take a withdrawal from your future. Many traders think of losses as financial pain. I think of them as moral pain, reminders of when I betrayed my own principles. And that pain, when accepted, becomes instruction. It teaches you that the enemy isn't the market, it's the weakness inside you that cannot hold a line. That's why the most valuable position you can take is a disciplined one. Think of it like this. Your system gives you direction, but your discipline gives you endurance. A system without endurance dies in time. Discipline makes sure you're around long enough to see the system work. Some of you listening right now are trying to build consistency, but you feel stuck in a loop, win, lose, always ending where you started. And maybe you're wondering what you're missing. It's not your entries. It's not your indicators. It's your emotional follow-through. The market rewards those who can repeat their best behavior, not those who chase their best outcome. And this is where discipline beats every strategy you'll ever learn, because strategies fail when market conditions change. Discipline doesn't. It adapts, it observes, it survives. The same mindset that kept me profitable in 1907 kept me alive in 1929. Not because the markets were similar, but because my behavior was consistent. Remember this, the disciplined trader will always outlast the intelligent one. Intelligence makes money, discipline keeps it. And it's this quiet endurance that defines every real trader's story. You won't see it on social media. You won't hear it from those showing their profits. You'll see it in the man who's been trading for 20 years and still opens his charts with respect. You'll feel it in the way he talks calm, steady, never desperate. That's discipline speaking. If this message resonates with you, if you've ever felt the battle between logic and emotion in your trading, I want you to tell us in the comments below, not just to engage, but to reflect. Tell us what discipline means to you. Tell us what part of your trading journey tests it the most. Maybe it's revenge trading after a loss, or holding too long after a win. Whatever it is, put it into words. You might be surprised how much clarity that brings. And if these words help bring you that calm, if they give you that small moment of reflection, then share this message with another trader who's fighting the same battle. Because there's one thing I've learned: the market isolates us, but wisdom connects us. The more we share, the stronger we all become. If you haven't already, go watch 5 Signs You're Finally Becoming a Profitable Trader. That video dives into the psychological transformations that make discipline possible, because you cannot force discipline until you understand what stage of growth you're in. Now, let's go deeper. Because discipline isn't just the ability to control your actions, it's the ability to trust your preparation. And most traders don't fail because they panic. They fail because they panic due to lack of trust. You can only trust what you've tested. You can only hold what you believe in. So when I tell you discipline beats strategy, what I'm really saying is this: belief beats fear. A man who believes in his plan can endure drawdowns, wait through boredom, and still come out ahead. But a man who doubts his plan will jump at every shadow, react to every noise, and slowly destroy himself through 1,000 small mistakes. The most dangerous trader in the market isn't the one who lacks skill, it's the one who has no conviction. He might look busy, but inside, he's lost. And this is where true discipline begins: when you stop reacting and start trusting. Trusting your rules, trusting your testing, trusting that you don't need to trade today to be successful tomorrow. That's the shift that turns a gambler into a professional. When I finally understood that, my entire relationship with the market changed. I no longer felt the need to chase every move. I could miss trades and still feel at peace. I could watch opportunities pass and not feel regret, because I realized missing a trade isn't losing money. Breaking discipline is. Discipline is what protects you when the market turns into chaos. It's the only line between order and destruction. And the traders who last, they know this truth in their bones. They're not playing for excitement. They're playing for freedom. Freedom. That's the word most traders never understand until they lose everything trying to find it. They come to the market looking for freedom from jobs, from limits, from dependency, but what they don't realize is that the market will only grant freedom to those who can control themselves. Because there's no freedom without discipline. There's only chaos dressed as opportunity. You see, in the early years, I thought money would make me free. But every time I made a fortune, I also made a mistake. I grew careless. I would loosen my rules, take bigger risks, and before I knew it, the same freedom I fought for became the rope I hung myself with. That's when I learned something the hard way. The market gives you wealth to test if you can keep it, and that test never ends. Every profit is an invitation to self-sabotage. Every winning streak is a temptation to believe you're invincible. But discipline, that's the quiet refusal to fall for your own illusion. It's the voice that says, "You're not special. You're not immune. You're still a student." That humility is what keeps a trader alive, because arrogance kills faster than any bear market. You might think the goal of trading is to win, but it's not. The real goal is to stay in the game long enough for your edge to matter, and the only way you stay is through discipline. Strategy might get you to the table. Discipline keeps your seat when the storm hits. I've watched traders blow up accounts after months of perfect performance, and it wasn't because their systems failed. It was because success made them soft. They forgot what brought them there: the patience, the restraint, the quiet respect for uncertainty. Discipline doesn't just live in your losses, it lives in your wins. Because after you win, that's when the real danger begins. Winning whispers lies in your ear. It tells you you've outsmarted the market. It tells you you can relax your guard, increase your size, bend your rules just a little. And just like that, The same confidence that lifted you up becomes the hand that drags you down. I've seen it happen in every era, every cycle. It's a timeless human flaw. That's why I say the disciplined trader doesn't celebrate wins. He respects them, then returns to silence. Because silence is safety. Silence is control. Discipline is not excitement, it's order. It's the invisible structure holding your emotions in line. It's the reason you can face chaos and not flinch. The longer you trade, the more you realize the market isn't your opponent, it's your reflection. It mirrors your greed, your fear, your impulses, your doubts. Every chart you open is really a mirror of your inner state. If you are calm, the chart makes sense. If you are chaotic, the chart looks like noise. So, before you study the market, study yourself. Because a man without self-awareness is like a trader without stops destined for ruin. And if you followed my talks before, if you remember why traders struggle with consistency, or the 3 brutal stages before every trader becomes profitable, you'll notice how all these lessons tie together. Every one of them leads back to this one truth. Mastery begins when you stop trying to win and start learning how not to lose. Discipline is the art of not losing your capital, not losing your composure, not losing your identity in the noise of the market. Because once you lose yourself, the market doesn't have to take your money, you'll give it away. And that's why I want to speak directly to you now, to the trader sitting in front of the screen, trying to rebuild after a loss, or maybe feeling stuck between hope and exhaustion. I know that place. I've lived there more times than I can count. You don't need another indicator. You don't need another mentor. You need to forgive yourself and rebuild your discipline. That's the real turning point. The moment when you stop blaming the market, stop chasing shortcuts, and start focusing on what you can control, your behavior. That's when the game shifts in your favor. And if this message touches that part of you that knows it's time to change, tell me. Tell us in the comments what part of trading challenges your discipline the most. Let's make this a conversation, not a monologue. Because somewhere out there, another trader is fighting the same battle, and your honesty might be the thing that helps him hold on one more day. Now listen, discipline isn't built in isolation. It's built in repetition. Every trade you take is a vote for the kind of trader you're becoming. You either cast that vote for order or for chaos. And you cast it not with words, but with actions. Discipline is not a single decision, it's 1,000 small ones, repeated every day. It's choosing not to chase. It's choosing to take a break when your mind is clouded. It's choosing to trade smaller when you feel greedy. It's choosing to respect your plan when no one is watching. The market doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what you know, but it always remembers what you do. That's why every disciplined action compounds quietly in your favor. Every patient exit, every avoided impulse, every trade you didn't take when conditions weren't right, those are invisible wins. You don't see them on the chart, but they're there, protecting you, preserving you, keeping you in the game. And that's the essence of discipline, unseen profit. It doesn't always show up as money. Sometimes it shows up as not losing it. If you can learn to value that, you've already stepped into the mindset of a professional. The hardest lesson I ever learned was that discipline isn't a moment of control, it's a lifetime of restraint. You don't conquer it once and move on. You recommit to it every morning you open your charts, every night you review your trades, every time you feel the temptation to step outside your plan. There's no finish line, only refinement. The trader who seeks to master the market will always fall short, but the trader who seeks to master himself will always rise again. And that's why I say discipline beats strategy every time. Because strategy changes, market structure changes, the crowd changes, but your discipline is the only constant that can follow you through every cycle. It's the compass when your system fails. It's the parachute when your confidence collapses. It's the hand that steadies you when fear turns into chaos. I've lived through panics that erased fortunes overnight. I've seen men who were kings in the morning begging for mercy by dusk. And I can tell you the ones who survived weren't the smartest. They weren't the fastest. They were simply the ones who could sit still when others couldn't. You may think patience is passive, but in trading, patience is power. The ability to wait to do nothing is the rarest and most valuable skill in the market. Because while others burn themselves out chasing noise, The disciplined trader conserves his energy, sharpens his focus, and waits for the one clear shot that defines his month. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. It doesn't chain you, it frees you. Because when you have discipline, you don't fear uncertainty. You don't need to predict. You simply respond when the time is right, and rest when it isn't. That's the freedom traders talk about, not financial, but emotional freedom. The freedom to not be ruled by impulse. The freedom to trust your own timing. The freedom to walk away and know that doing nothing was the right choice. That's real wealth. So, when you look at your charts tomorrow, don't ask, what's my next move? Ask, can I stay disciplined enough to wait for it? Because that's the difference between the trader who gets lucky once and the trader who builds a life. If you've stayed with me through this reflection, I want you to do something simple. Tell me what discipline means to you. Tell me how you practice it, or how you've lost it before. Be honest, because honesty is where discipline begins. And if this message stirred something in you, that quiet understanding that the real battle is internal, then share this with another trader who's still searching for that truth. Your small act might change the way someone trades forever. You've heard me talk about patience before in The Psychology of Holding Trades and the 5 signs you're finally becoming a profitable trader. This message is the spine that holds them all together. Without discipline, none of it stands. So if you haven't watched those yet, I urge you take the time. Each lesson is a step toward mastering not the market but yourself. Because when you build discipline, you stop needing motivation. You stop needing luck. You stop needing constant reassurance. You move with calm, deliberate confidence, the kind that only comes from experience earned through restraint. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't give you instant wins or thrilling stories. But it's the reason you'll still be here when others have vanished. And that's the true definition of success in this game, endurance. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to predict every move. You just have to stay consistent long enough for the law of probability to reward your patience. And when you do, when that consistency finally compounds into mastery, you'll realize something profound. You were never trading the market. You were always trading yourself. The charts were just the mirror. The candles were just the reflection. Every mistake, every hesitation, every victory, they were all parts of you being revealed. And when you finally see that truth clearly, something inside you goes quiet. The noise stops. The rush fades. The need to prove something disappears. All that remains is focus, clean, calm, unshakable focus. That's where discipline lives. That's where peace begins. And from that peace, every great trade you'll ever make will be born. So take a breath. Step back. The next time you sit before your charts, remember, it's not about predicting the future. It's about preserving your mind, protecting your capital, honoring your plan. Because the market will always test you. But if you stand on discipline, you'll never have to fear the outcome. And when that moment comes, when you hold through uncertainty, when you respect your rules even as the crowd loses theirs, you'll feel something few traders ever do. That quiet, steady pulse of control. That is the sound of mastery. That is the sound of freedom. So keep learning, keep refining, and keep holding your line. Because discipline will always beat strategy. And in the end, that's what separates the traders who dream from the ones who endure.